time to meet the 1996 NBA All-Stars. Here are the participants in the 1996 NBA All-Star Game. First, Eastern Conference, led by the Chicago Bulls, head coach Phil Jackson. The assistant coaches are Jim Clemens, Jimmy Rogers, and Tex Winter. The trainer from the Indiana Pacers is David Craig. Now the players. He's one of the rare players who creates excitement from the outside, making his first All-Star appearance from the Charlotte Hornets, Glenn Rice. This point guard earned his first All-Star berth by accounting for nearly 40% of his team's total production from the Cleveland Cavaliers, Terrell Brandon. In only his third NBA season, he's already a two-time All-Star, leading his team in rebounding, assists, and minutes from the Milwaukee Bucks, Vin Baker. This hard-working big man is equally adept when asked to score, rebound, or pass. An All-Star in only his second season for the Washington Bullets, Juwan Howard. He has fueled the fire in Miami, ranking in the top 10 in the NBA in scoring and block shots from the Miami Heat, Alonzo Mourning. One of the best pure shooters in the league, this three-time All-Star specializes in last-second game-winning shots from the Indiana Pacers, Reggie Miller. Appearing in his 10th All-Star game, the 7-foot center holds nearly every Knickerbocker record from the New York Knicks, Patrick Ewing. And now the starting lineup for the Eastern Conference. At forward, he led the Foot Locker All-Star balloting with more than 1 million votes in each of his 2 seasons in the NBA. From the Detroit Pistons, Grant Hill. At the other forward, making his 6th All-Star appearance and winner of the 1994 All-Star MVP award from the Chicago Bulls, Scottie Pippen. At center, a man who led San Antonio Cole High School to a 36-0 record in the Texas State Championship in 1989 from the Orlando Magic, Shaquille O'Neal. Guard. He's one of the new breed of versatile players who can beat you inside and outside, making his 2nd All-Star appearance from the Orlando Magic, Anthony Hardaway. at the other guard, a three-time NBA Most Valuable Player, three times Final MVP, and seven-time NBA scoring champ from the Chicago Bulls, Michael Jordan. The 1996 NBA Eastern Conference All-Stars. Now your Western Conference All-Stars. They are led by the coaches from the Seattle Supersonics, head coach George Karl. The assistant coaches are Dwayne Casey, Terry Stotts, and Bob Wise. And from the San Antonio Spurs, the trainer, John Anderson. One of the league's premier defensive players, this exciting point guard is back for his third straight All-Star game from the Seattle Supersonics, Gary Payton. This four-time All-Star scored 22 points in 23 minutes to win the Most Valuable Player award in last year's game from the Sacramento Kings, Mitch Richmond. Back for his 8th consecutive All-Star game, this point guard is the only player to have more than 10,000 assists. The 1993 co-All-Star MVP from the Utah Jazz, John Stockton. The reigning Defensive Player of the Year. This center led the NBA in block shots for the last 2 seasons, playing in his third All-Star game from the Denver Nuggets, Dikembe Mutombo. An 8-time All-Star, the 1989 All-Star MVP, and co-winner of the 93 award from the Utah Jazz forward, Karl Malone. This 2-time All-Star is having a career year. He leads his team in three-pointers and minutes played. From your San Antonio Spurs, Sean Elliott. The 1995 NBA Most Valuable Player and 6-time All-Star, you know him as the Admiral from the San Antonio Spurs, David Robinson. And now the Western Conference starting lineup. At guard, the 1995 co-Rookie of the Year and the first Dallas player to start an NBA All-Star game. From the Mavericks, Jason Kidd. At the other guard, this 9-time All-Star won an NBA ring on his third trip to the finals last season from the Houston Rockets, Clyde Drexler. At center, this 11-time All-Star has led his team to the last two NBA championships, taking home the finals MVP each time from the Houston Rockets, Hakeem Olajuwon. At forward, he leads his team in points, rebounds, and blocks. Back for his fourth straight All-Star game from the Seattle Supersonics, Shawn Kemp. And at the other forward, he leads the West in the All-Star balloting. The 1991 All-Star Game MVP, playing in his 10th All-Star Game from the Phoenix Suns, Charles Barkley. The 1996 NBA All-Star.
It's the East versus the West in the 46th annual NBA All-Star Game. Versus the West in the 46th annual NBA All-Star Game.
Follow through Shaquille O'Neal and Hakeem Olajuwon on the opening tip. Ronnie Nunn working his first All-Star game, put it into the air, and it's controlled by Clyde Drexler of the Houston Rockets. Here's Jason Kidd, who comes off a sensational 25-assist game the other night, and Shawn Kemp. So the West with a 2-0 lead. Penny Hardaway of the Orlando Magic being played by Kidd. Shaquille O'Neal, and he goes to the jump hook. Here comes Kidd for the West. He has Drexler with him. Drexler from Kidd.
Well, these games are generally, the tone is set by the point guards, and right away we've seen Jason Kidd create 2 baskets for the Western squad.
Scottie Pippen. Pippen on the drive. Well, we haven't seen any full court pressure here.
I think Phil meant after a free throw.
Yes. Oh, and again the outside attempt by Shawn Kemp. The West with a 4-2 lead. We're just underway. Here's Kidd. He has Olajuwon and Drexler. Olajuwon. And Grant Hill of the Detroit Pistons pops it down to Penny Hardaway. Puts the move on Kemp.
Marv, let me ask you a question. You've been around a lot of these coaches and done a lot of All-Star games. Why do they even pose that they would throw out any strategy?
You know, Phil said it with a straight face to both Matt and myself, and we bought it. And then I said, no, wait a second, you're not kidding. He said, no. The game is young, Steve. And Kemp fouled by Hill. Shawn Kemp averaging 21 a game, 12 rebounds in his 7th season with the Seattle Supersonics. Hit with that foul. The steal by Pippen. Hardaway for Jordan. Giving the East a 6-4 lead.
A very unselfish play there by Penny Hardaway. Off the feed from Scottie Pippen was wide open for a layup, but dropped it off for Jordan to get him involved.
I wouldn't have done it. The man pulled my pants down in the opening lineup. No, I wouldn't have given him the ball.
Yes, some early comical moments. Michael Jordan getting to the jersey pants. O'Neal with the catch of the bucket. Jordan pulling Hardaway's pants awry as the player introductions were run down right at the start.
And even Little Penny was embarrassed.
Last season in Phoenix, the West beat the East 139 to 112. The East has won 28. The West has won 17 in All-Star play. The East in the midst of an 8-0 run. Olajuwon not able to end it. Behind the back from Drexler.
We're going to see plenty of spectacular passes amongst all these players. The question is, will they have enough feel for each other and enough timing to catch them?
Shaquille with the ball fake. It counts, and the foul. Foul committed by Olajuwon, and Shaquille O'Neal to the line.
Well, Jason Kidd always hanging around the basket at both ends to rebound. The passing so quick that the Eastern squad never saw it coming, and Barkley said, look what I found for an easy lay. They're going to have a lot of fun playing with Jason Kidd, a real live candidate to possibly be a member of Dream Team 3.
Well, you know, this is a big opportunity for Jason Kidd to really kind of make a statement about the Dallas franchise. They've been down all year. People have really not looked at what he's done, but he's coming off some terrific ball games before the All-Star game.
Yes, a very disappointing season for the Mavericks, and there is Kidd again. You know, Jason earlier in the week was said to be a doubtful because of a lower back problem, and he told us no way he would miss this. Michael Jordan able to line drive at home. The East with a 12-8 lead with 3.5 gone by.
You know, Mark, all of these players, and Matt, you know it too, always say before the game, I'm not sure I want to go, but once they get here, they're happy they come, and it's really hard to miss an All-Star game when you've got the opportunity.
Charles Barkley cuts it to a 2-point lead. East on fire here at the start, and Grant Hill continues the assault. Hill with the steal. Pippen gives it back. Here's Hill. Grant Hill.
Now you got to go to the record book. And this is going to be like they used to play basketball in the 60s in these games. 47 points were scored in 1961 in the first quarter, and we might see it happen today. You're seeing a team from the West not playing much defense, looking to score a lot of points.
And a holding foul indicated. It's on Shaquille O'Neal. A huge crowd on hand here at the Alamodome. 36,000. Which will not set an NBA All-Star record. The record is 44-7. Michael Jordan getting down. Back in 1989 at the Houston Astrodome, they had better than 44,000. The East up by 8 points. The East 9 of 10 from the field. They've hit their last 9. Barkley gets inside.
Nobody really challenging shots inside, and so far, both teams shooting a pretty good percentage from the perimeter as well. That means a lot of high scoring, Steve.
Hill beating Kemp. That was too easy. As the East has hit its last 10 shots.
No, they made a deal. You let me have one, and I'm going to let you have one on the other side. We'll see if Grant Hill turns the Rain Man loose.
Drexler setting up against Jordan. Olajuwon.
And I think the game that's the hardest, and Sean Kidd tips that in, is for the centers, because they don't get to put on a show.
Kidd again, flipping it back. And Kidd the recipient of the pass from Barkley. But a 3-second violation has been called. Ed Rush doing it with a smile on his face. Timeout called, 6:41 left, first quarter.
The East leading the West 20-14. First quarter action from San Antonio, the Alamodome. Leading scorer thus far, Michael Jordan and Grant Hill, 6 points apiece in this first quarter. For the Western Conference, Charles Barkley, 3 out of 4 from the field. He has 6 points as well. You will see a lot of offense during the course of this night. Neither one of these teams really interested in playing defense. This is an exhibition in offensive skill. And some entertainment here at the Alamodome. The Hello Texas Dancers, do-si-doing. Aggie Wranglers. Magic Johnson taking in the action tonight. An 11-time NBA All-Star. Magic back in the NBA after sitting out 4.5 years, and the Lakers are happy to have him. Dan Aykroyd, star of television and film, enjoying himself here at the Alamo Dome. Better than 36,000 here in San Antonio.
The Aggie Wranglers.
Also during the pants.
Well, and Penny, not holding any grudges, has been looking for Michael every time out on the floor. Passed up a layup to dish off an easy one for Michael Jordan. Caught him on a breakaway, as those two have clicked so far early in this ball game.
But you know what that tells us? Michael Jordan is really about having fun. The second time around, he is enjoying himself, and I think even this All-Star game is going to be a real enjoyable experience. Before it was all business.
Shaquille O'Neal coming up short. The East had hit their previous 10 shot. Beautiful pass. Pippen. Grant Hill is hit on his first 4. Is 8 points. The East 22 and the West 14. We have 6:10 remaining in this first quarter. The NBA All-Star game from the Alamo Dome in San Antonio. 3-point attempt missed by Drexler. Shaquille O'Neal on the pregame portion of our program said that he would attempt 5 3-point shots. And he had an ocean right there.
That's going to be the choice of the day is the layup. So a lot of these guys are going to get open court play and a chance to really score and do something spectacular. Why bother to shoot the 3?
Well, if you just run the floor at all, Jason Kidd will find you with simple passes and with spectacular passes. There, the no-look touch as Shawn Kemp, who runs the floor as well as any big forward in basketball, is the recipient of the Kidd assist.
3 assists for Kidd and the Admiral David Robinson. Heard it from the crowd as he checks in for the first substitution. David Robinson getting a long standing ovation during the player introductions. Barkley came back. Kidd was looking for help. The East with a 6-point lead. Drexler with the step. Here's Kemp. Rebound Robinson. David Robinson in his 7th NBA season, playing in his 7th All-Star game. Kidd off the steal. Is Barkley on the wing, and here's Barkley bringing the West within 2. As you see Dan Aykroyd enjoying the action.
Now, Matt, you got that coach's mentality. Is it really possible to coach in a game like this?
No, not at all. Absolutely no chance at all. First of all, these players are not playing any defense, well, so that throws everything out of whack. There's a defensive loss.
Nice timing. Oh, did not work. Slightly overthrown in center for Kemp, and the same at the other end.
Well, the strategy is run fast, jump high, shoot straight, and try to keep the lob passes in the building, as this one's sent out of there beautifully by David Robinson, who has made no bones about it. He wants to have a big game here in front of his hometown fans.
Here's Kemp. 8 unanswered points by the West, and they've tied the game at 22. We're coming up on 4 minutes remaining in the first quarter. 1 point, the East hit 10 consecutive shots. Jordan got the pick. Yes, Michael Jordan providing a 2-point lead for the East.
Now, Marv, I want you to think about this, because the next time Shawn Kemp scores, he's got a little trotting thing that he does. I want you to describe it and tell me what it is, because it's almost a strut all of its own.
Is it something that can be said on the air?
Yeah.
Okay. Drexler off the nice pass from Robinson. And the West has tied the game at 24. I thought you were referring to perhaps an off-color move. No. Shawn would think in those terms. Beautiful move by Hardaway. The East 26 and the West 24. Everybody was extremely nice to Jason Kidd the last couple of days, knowing that they wanted to get the basketball, and he has been delivering, picking up the assists here in the first quarter.
Well, of course, George Karl said a couple of weeks ago that he felt his man, Gary Payton, should have been voted onto the All-Star team, or John Stockton ahead of Jason Kidd. Since then, they have kissed and made up. He explained to Jason that he was just sticking up for his own player, but he really does know and appreciate how good a player Jason Kidd is.
Shaquille O'Neal committed that foul, and Gary Payton of the Seattle Supersonics has come in along with Sean Elliott of the San Antonio Spurs. Pippen starting back. He's guarded by Elliott. And here is Hill, who has been hot. Rebound swept by Drexler. Drexler on the run. Drexler! Oh, you know, Clyde loves the tempo here in this first quarter.
And that pass was rising. Sean Kemp just actually stopped that pass from going out of bounds and then threw it down.
And we have a timeout.
So the game is tied at 26. Phil Jackson calling for time with 2:43 to go in this opening quarter.
It's the East versus the West in the 46th annual NBA All-Star Game.
I'm on my corner, and I'm deep into my head, so it goes all like Zen-like. And check this out. I'm seeing Anderson, Robinson, Van Exel, and my man Sam Cassell playing ball when my guys play ball. And it's all about ball. And it's crazy, right? I mean, all in my head, but you think I'm crazy, right? Yo, I'm not crazy. I know what's real. I'm real. This is my planet.
The 46th annual NBA All-Star Game.
Back in San Antonio, let's go to the Dean of Sideline Reporting, Ahmad Rashad, who was with that old cut-up, Michael Jordan.
All right, thanks, Mark. Speaking of cutting up, man, what was the whole deal with pulling Anthony's pants down on the warm-up?
Well, I've done it a couple of years. I did it to Joe Dumars one year, but it all started when someone did it to me when my first couple of years. So I decided to pass it along.
But, you know, I think what it showed is that when you came back now, you have a much more loose attitude about playing this game of basketball.
Yeah, I feel better about my whole attitude towards the game and towards, you know, some of my responsibilities to the game. And I enjoy being around the young players. You know, I mean, a lot of those guys are very exciting, and I enjoy them.
All right. I'll see you later on. Come on back and talk to me. All right, Marv.
Thank you, Ahmad. Substitutions for the East squad: Patrick Ewing of the New York Knicks, Reggie Miller of the Indiana Pacers, Terrell Brandon of the Cleveland Cavaliers, and Vin Baker of the Milwaukee Bucks have checked in. That's Baker with a beautiful move and fouled by Kemp. Vin Baker having another superb season, averaging 21 points, 10 rebounds, playing in his second All-Star game and going to the line.
Now, Matt, that makes a statement for me. See, Sean Kemp attempted to play defense that time, and he still got scored on. So what difference does it make?
Well, right, some instincts just will never go away. Sean Kemp is a very aggressive player. Did get a hand up on that shot. Too aggressive with it on the foul, but nice to see Vin Baker get off to a good start. He admittedly was very nervous last year and never really got into the flow.
The East has hit 14 of 20 from the field at one stretch, 10 in a row. They lead by 3 points. We come up on 2 minutes left in the first quarter. Ewing, and he drew the foul committed by Robinson.
Another defensive effort, this time by David Robinson, trying to challenge the pass. I think I remember a play earlier, David actually tried to block a shot. Again, the good defensive players, it's just something that comes natural to them around the basket or when somebody's going to take a shot to challenge it. The big problem defensively in an All-Star game is transition defense. Neither team is just serious about getting back, and that's why you see so many open court plays.
One we've never had, well, I guess maybe Bill Russell would classify as a defensive type of player that could change this kind of a game. But in the modern era that we've been watching on television, we've never had a defensive player dominate the game. I mean, it's always been offense, and I would suspect that that's what it's going to be this afternoon, and you just have to find out who's got the torch.
All right, Mitch Richmond, last year's All-Star Game MVP, has come on, as has Karl Malone of the Utah Jazz, and Robinson got squeezed. Foul committed by Patrick Ewing.
Number 33, Patrick Ewing.
The East 31 and the West 26. Glenn Rice of the Charlotte Hornets on the floor for the first time. Oh, Elliott not expecting the return pass from Richmond.
The three guys that I think are going to be the most nervous out here, Terrell Brandon, Sean Elliott, and Glenn Rice. This is a big moment for all of them, and they may have a tough time making their own statement.
There's Payton for Malone. Back to Payton. And took the move on Brandon. 3-point lead for the East. Terrell Brandon taking over the point guard duties when Mark Price went down last season. One of the major reasons that the Cavaliers have been a big surprise. Here's Elliott. And he stepped out of bounds. Elliott going baseline, but stepped out.
You mentioned Terrell Brandon. After the Cavaliers got off to an 0-7 start, yeah, everybody had to have their heads swirling in Cleveland as to what was going to happen. But
are you talking about because they had to listen to the czar, Mike Fratello? Is that what you're indicating?
It's pretty much. His head was definitely swirling. But this team has gotten themselves together 26-13 since.
And Brandon able to convert. Give the East the 5-point lead. But Robinson gets it right back. The East 33, the West 30. We're down to 40 seconds left in the first quarter. Baker off the deflection. And they swing it out to Rice.
You know, that Glenn Rice better not make a three-pointer today because, you know, he cost me money last night. I had him in the three-point shootout as a defending champ and in a flame. I mean, that was the best three-point shooting contest we've had. The defending champ goes down. He'll probably make 10 today.
What a performance by Tim Legler of the Washington Bullets.
He was terrific, and, you know, it's really nice to see him do that. Bounced around, had a real tough time making it in the league, and then to step up and to have that kind of performance in front of a huge crowd was terrific.
Karl Malone brings the West within one, and the East with a plan here. They will hold for a final shot.
And Matt put his hand up. He signaled over there to Jackson and said, give me some coaching now.
Final seconds of the quarter. Rice way off. Richmond gives it up to David Robinson as this first quarter comes to a close. Michael Jordan, a 4-for-4, 8-point first quarter. And Sean Kemp running the floor effectively, 5 of 7 for his 10. 60% shooting for the East, 61 by the West. The East by 1 after 1 here at the Alamo Dome in San Antonio.
Karl Malone, a former All-Star MVP, on the floor for the Western Conference. Let's rejoin.
Well, the 1991 All-Star game in Charlotte saw Charles Barkley, then of the 76ers, score 17 points, grab 22 rebounds as the East won 116-114. Charles also MVP of that game in Charlotte. Sir Charles is alongside Hannah Storm. Hannah?
Thanks, Marvin. Charles and I were just noting the intensity of this game a little more than it has been in the last few years.
Yeah, I think so. I think the East really wants to win the game. We are here to have fun. We could test yesterday. We thought yesterday it was going to be a little serious today.
How much of that do you think has to do with Michael being back?
Well, I think that, the East, we beat them pretty easily last year. And I think they got some criticism after the game that they didn't play hard. And Michael's a very competitive person, so that helps also.
All right, Charles, get back to the bench. We'll talk to you later.
All right, thank you.
Hey, Mark.
I note some laryngitis on the part of Charles Barkley. I think he has been enjoying the festivities here in San Antonio. Second quarter is underway. Ewing with the rebound. This is Brandon. He has Miller and Rice in the open floor, but it is broken up.
I think Charles also is liking the way he has been playing lately, ever since he came back from that toe surgery, and Danny Manning is back. Kevin Johnson was back temporarily, Cotton taking over. And what a performance he had on Tuesday night in that emotional win over Chicago.
Are you going out on the limb and predicting that Phoenix is going to be a team to watch in the second half?
I think they're going to be a lot better. I don't think they're going to make any noise in the playoffs. Just not enough power and strength in the middle.
David Robinson making some noise with the reverse stuff. And the East lead is now 1. Here's Ewing! Patrick Ewing looking like Brent Barry in the slam dunk contest last night.
Yeah, he ran just about as far as Brent on that one, but they gave him a little play.
Nice pass from Malone. And Payton cuts it to a 1-point East lead.
And the West is actually running a little set play with a little high post action, and East not able to adjust to it.
Miller with the pass broken up by Elliott. George Karl telling us before the game that the West actually had 4 set plays.
Well, David Robinson caught Patrick Ewing falling down, and then a hop, skip, and a jump and a throwdown by Patrick Ewing.
All-star type officiating there.
Miller lost it. We are early second quarter, just a minute and a half gone by. Mitch Richmond not able to hit. And back comes Miller. Reggie Miller of the Indiana Pacers for Vin Baker of the Milwaukee Bucks.
Guys that shoot jump shots in this game are going to be the ones that get hurt the most. Unless they really have the torch going, I don't look for many jump shots to go in.
Well, the team that the East has out on the floor right now, not a good running team. Terrell Brandon, good on the fast break, but so used to playing controlled basketball in Cleveland, but knows how to run the middle on the break. But neither Glenn Rice nor Vin Baker running the wings very well.
And Rice called for that foul. Payton and Richmond in the backcourt. Robinson, Malone, and Elliott on the front line. The smash by Payton. Ewing got a piece of it. Miller being played by Richmond. Here's Brandon around Payton, but the ball knocked away and a foul.
Reggie doesn't understand. This is an all-star game. That was supposed to pay out.
Timeout taken by the West. The East by 1.
It's the East versus the West in the 46th annual NBA All-Star Game. West in the 46th annual NBA All-Star Game.
Well, as a backdrop to tonight's NBA All-Star Game, there is the issue of whether the Spurs will continue to play here at the Alamo Dome. Spurs management working on plans for a privately financed arena that could be built outside the city limits. The mayor of San Antonio, Bill Thornton, has made it clear that the city should not build an arena. There are a couple of problems here, guys. Playing in a dome is not exactly intimate. And the Spurs feel they need luxury suites to compete with other NBA clubs.
How far outside the city limits are we talking about here? Are we talking 16 miles or all the way to New Orleans?
That has been brought up.
Or Nashville.
Right.
You know,
go ahead, Steve.
The scary thing about it is here is another franchise with great support from the community, but the arena game has become such a big issue that it's almost hard for them to compete sometimes in staying ahead, salaries and player.
Well, the previous ownership built an arena that is also designed for football, but they were not able to attract an NFL franchise. Pass from Brandon and the foul called as Rice try to release it. They did have of all things, a Canadian Football League franchise here in San Antonio. I believe this is kind of southwestern Canada.
Well, remember this. It was a used car salesman that owned the team.
Yes.
Now, they bought a lemon or something like it because the current owner is saying the dome was a mistake. And Sean Elliott feels that if they had been playing in the old hemisphere, they might have won a championship a year ago because it was so tight and noisy in there.
And one other factor, earlier this year, David Robinson signed a long-term extension, a huge one, but modest by what we're going to see in the future, maybe around $11 million a year. But the reason he signed it was he was assured that the Spurs franchise would stay right here in San Antonio.
But he didn't get it in writing.
The East with a 1-point lead with 3 minutes gone by in the second quarter. Marv Albert, Angugas, Steve, Snapper Jones. John Elliott not able to hit. Kept alive by Gary Payton. Trying to put it between the legs, but Terrell Brandon there has a 3-on-1. Reggie Miller with the finisher. And the East with a 3-point advantage. As Payton putting moves on Brandon and drew the foul.
Well, sometimes you dance too much, and Terrell Brandon caught Gary Payton off step and made it an easy score for Reggie Miller.
From the West, Gary Payton at the line. 2 shots.
And Gary Payton in his 6th year out of Oregon State. On the line, Payton leading the NBA in steals. He's averaging just under 3 per game.
And until that ill-advised pass by Gary, he was so basic and sound, just making the normal pass that was there, making the good point guard play, just got a little bit out of control and paid for it.
The East by 1. They've led by as many as 8. Brandon surprised Rice with that pass. And rebounded by Juwan Howard, who checked in just a moment ago. Payton again puts it between the legs. Here's Elliott laying it off from Malone. No foul. Lonzo Mourning of the Miami Heat, who came on for the first time. Call for that foul on a reach-in. So Karl Malone to the line.
You know, Karl's an example of what we're talking about with all-star play. He hurt his finger before. He's been here before. And, you know, every year he makes a statement about not coming. But every year he comes and he puts on a terrific show. He's been an MVP once on his own, a half of MVP with John Stockton. And I think once he gets here, his whole attitude always changes. The way he's beat it up right now, he's into this game.
And in last year's all-star game, Karl Malone, 15 points and 16 minutes of playing time, a 9-time All-Star, Karl Malone, and he has given the West a 1-point lead, the West leading for the first time. Brandon. Richmond with the save. Malone trying to get it back. It was touched last by the East. George Karl refusing to give up the basketball.
And he has very strong hands. He'll never get it out of there. Actually overpassing on the part of Karl Malone.
And the call was changed. The ball will go to the West.
Well, you know, George Karl was once known as the Pillsbury Doughboy. He played here for the San Antonio Spurs.
I didn't know that, Steve.
West ball.
Should have had a jump ball between Reggie Miller and George Karl.
Yeah. George with roots here. And alley-oop a bit off the mark. Karl with roots here in San Antonio. Played for the Spurs in the ABA and in the NBA. Also an assistant coach with San Antonio under Doug Moe in 1979 and 80. Alonzo Mourning has the outside touch. The West with a 42-41 lead. Brandon. For Miller. Mourning around Robinson. The tip missed by Miller. And Malone gets it ahead. It's Payton whipping it down to the crowd.
Well, I think all these guys in white jerseys ought to know with Payton that you got to go toward the basket. Don't drift out to the side because he's going to try to make something special happen. And, of course, Matt, he's used to playing with the Rain Man. You know, you just throw it up there and Sean Kemp will catch it.
Juwan Howard keeping it alive. Brandon for 3. So Terrell Brandon with the game's first 3-pointer. East has cooled down here in the second quarter after the hot start. But they now lead by 2. Elliott for 3. Buddy Nutt to go. Both players looking for a call.
Well, that's a stat we also have to keep track of, the officials that make the calls. I mean, Ed Middleton had about 3-1 on everyone else.
Brandon again from downtown, along with the box out. Richmond handling. Elliott. Guarded by Juwan Howard, who has had an outstanding second NBA season with the Washington Bullets. Malone tried the fadeaway. Here comes Brandon. Again, the East on the run. Brandon around Elliott and draws the foul. Sean Elliott called for the Hack. It leads to a timeout. The East up by 2 with 6:20 to go in this first half. We'll be back in the Alamo City in a moment. There is always much to do on All-Star Weekend, and here in San Antonio, the Jam Session has provided a terrific time for everyone. Boys and girls testing their basketball skills, measuring up to the pros. That's Ahmad's favorite, the bungee shot. Basketball clinics with NBA players paying visits, lots of autograph seekers of all ages, plus NBC announcer edition.
Yes! Score! 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 All right, Michael! Go!
Just excellent work. And we're all in trouble.
I knew you were giving seminars, Marv, but I didn't know you were over there.
Those kids did a very strong audition, it should be pointed out. 6:20 to go in this first half. Terrell Brandon of the Cavaliers on the line, and the East now leading 45-42.
Brandon wearing number 14 for Bobby Phills, his teammate with the Cleveland Cavaliers, saying that those two came together 4 years ago, both in the league now, 4 years with the Cleveland Cavaliers, and dedicating this game to Bobby.
Yes, Terrell usually wears number 1, and he wanted to honor his hard-working teammate Bobby Phills, who has also had a very solid season. Here's Malone on the drive. Karl Malone ending the drought for the West. They had missed their previous 6 shots. East up by 2. Howard, Pippen and Mourning now up front. Pippen is back along with Hardaway. Pretty fake by Scottie Pippen. Scottie Pippen, most valuable player of the All-Star game 2 years ago in Minneapolis. Here's the steal by Pippen. It's a 4-on-2. Brandon. Well, Terrell Brandon able to finish it off after 4 players touched the ball.
Well, he better make a case for open court basketball with Coach Fratello, because he's really very good here, and he's making some sensational plays, and maybe we'll see things speeded up.
Guess what? It's not going to happen. Too much success playing the other way. Control the ball. Don't turn it over. Give yourself a chance to win at the end. They have mastered it.
Sean Elliott with his first field goal. The East by 4. Here is Pippen. Yes. The East leading 52-46. 5 minutes left in this first half. John Stockton of the Jazz getting set to come on for the first time. Elliott coming up short on the three-point attempt. Hardaway had it broken up. The play by Payton. Payton and Richmond at the guards. Elliott up front with Malone, and now Dikembe Mutombo of the Denver Nuggets. Another good attempt by Payton looking for the steal, and now Gary will sit down. Here's John Stockton, the NBA's all-time assist leader in his 12th NBA season out of Gonzaga.
I think prime time is watching this game because Gary Payton is going to show him how to defend out there. He has really been in the passing lane and done a real good job of keeping some defensive saves for the West.
Howard on the offensive rebound. 6-point lead for the East. Richmond. Some sweet, nothing's whispered into his ear by Mourning as he got the step on Alonzo.
Well, his last couple of jump shots were way off, so Mitch Richmond, the consummate scorer, figures if I can't make it from the outside, I'm going to put my head down and attack that rim.
And Michael Jordan is back on the floor. He hit on 4 of 4 in the early going. He has 8 points. Mourning. And it is called an offensive foul. He can't believe it. Alonzo pushing off.
You know what he's saying to Ronnie Nunn, the official? This is an all-star game, isn't it? When was the last time you saw that call made?
Against Dikembe, of all people, who had both hands on Alonzo Mourning to begin with. Dikembe likes to use those hands, forearms, elbows, and does it very well.
Former teammates at Georgetown. Stockton had it blocked. Jordan with Mourning getting down court. Alonzo Mourning. And that is his first field goal. Back comes Malone, and he's pushed by Jordan.
And Michael did everything he could to try to avoid it. Said Eddie Rush, the official, said, I tried to miss him. I tried not to touch him. But Michael fell asleep after he made that pass. His first responsibility was to get back on defensively, but didn't do it. And the East squad has had problems with the big forwards of the West. Karl Malone, Charles Barkley Kemp, much as they did last year with the smaller forwards starting out the game, Pippen and Grant Hill. Talking to Phil Jackson before the game about it, he said, I'm not really worried about the big forwards. I think we've got an edge with quickness.
You talked about guys that can get up and down the floor, and those three guys all excel in open court play, and that gives the West an advantage. But the last shot by Malone showed you why he's so good at getting to the free throw line. He actually took himself into Jordan to make sure that the official called the whistle for him.
Well, we saw a double up. Here's Richmond trying to help out on Jordan Hardaway for three. The chip missed by Pippen. And Stockton running the floor. A bit too strong. And how often do you see that? Stockton misfiring with Malone.
It's like they're not used to playing with one another. They've only done that about 15,000 times. Only connects them to play.
And a timeout called by the East coach, Phil Jackson. The East leading by 5 points with 3:09 left in the half.
It's the East versus the West in the 46th annual NBA All-Star Game.
I'm on my corner, and I'm deep into my head, so it goes all like Zen-like. And check this out. I'm seeing Anderson, Robinson, Van Exel, and my man Sam Cassell playing ball when my guys play ball. And it's all about ball. And it's crazy, right? I mean, all in my head, but you think I'm crazy, right? Yo, I'm not crazy. I know what's real. I'm real. This is my planet.
West in the 46th annual NBA All-Star Game.
Grant Hill is back on the floor. As is Shaquille O'Neal. Hardaway posting up. And a foul is called.
Well, there is a definite mismatch out there for whoever John Stockton is going to guard. The last possession before the timeout, he was watching Michael Jordan that went right into the post. And a whistle stoppage, and now right into Hardaway with John Stockton, who just gives up way too much height.
And a foul called on Stockton again. A mismatch. Hardaway going at Stockton, who went down and committed the foul.
Marv, we have to notice that watching is the word that he used for defensive coverage there.
That's a hockey shirt, you know. Karl Malone departs. Shawn Kemp is back. Kemp with 10 points, got off to the fast start.
Well, players of all sizes have trouble watching Penny Hardaway deep in the post. Wow.
And Hardaway sweeping in, and he was pushed from behind. Richmond tried to help out, and he picked up the personal.
Well, they called this on Dikembe Mutombo, but it looked like Anthony Hardaway pushed off. You know, if anybody considers the basket area his temple, it's Mutombo. He likes to slap everything that comes in there away. I'll be interested to see how he tries to find Hardaway the next time he's going for a layup.
Well, we have a moment here on behalf of all of us. We would like to wish a speedy recovery to the president of NBC Sports, Dick Ebersol. Dick, as always, watching us. I'm sure taking notes with an extra thick notepad here this evening. But we wish Dick well and hope to see him back in the office in very short time. The East with a 56-51 lead with 2:25 remaining in this first half. There's Pete Sampras, who has not missed an event all weekend. He has been everywhere. Foul committed by Mutombo, and that will put Shaquille at the line. His free throw shooting is down to 46%. Now, Matt, you see him on a regular basis, 53% last year, which people were certainly wondering about, but now he's at 46. How do you explain this?
Well, it's gone down every year, and once again, trying something new, and it's very difficult to do it in the middle of the season. And when you're up there thinking about changes, it's just too difficult. And right now, Shaq is just shooting them on a line drive way too flat.
All right, now you played with one of the worst free throwers of all time in Wilt Chamberlain, and you knew all of the things that they told him. How can a guy get any help with a free throw?
Well, you got to do it in the off-season as Mutombo finishes off in there. You can't do it in the middle of the season. You have to put the time in correcting your mechanics in the off-season and then put the repetitions there. And then once basketball starts, you got to forget about it and go with what you've got.
Are you saying Shaquille is not working on his free throw shooting in the offseason?
I think he is to a degree, but then comes the time the training camp starts, it's another change and another thought process. You got to find something and stay with it.
4-point lead for the East. Hardaway off the steal, chased by Kidd, who just checked back in. Hardaway spinning his way and hitting. The reverse by Penny Hardaway. It extends to a 6-point East lead with 1:35 left, first half. Kidd now being guarded by Jordan. And a traveling violation.
Well, Penny Hardaway saying last year in the first half he felt he was too tentative, trying to make too many plays for other people. This time he said he's going to come out and just be aggressive and play his game. And we saw an example of it right there.
Well, the West with 17 turnovers. Michael Jordan with the touch. He's 5 of 5. He has 10 points. 8-point East lead. They opened up on fire. At one point hit 10 straight. They hit 10 of 11 from the field. Kemp. Rebound kept alive by Kidd. And here's Kidd for 3. Jason Kidd, who has improved his offense this season, but still the question is the outside touch is able to hit from downtown.
You know, the thing about him is that just when you think he can't make shots from the outside, he'll have a game where he makes 4 or 5 three-pointers in important situations. He's a lot like Dennis Johnson. Look awful and then make them when they mean the most.
It might be the one thing that could keep him off the dream team, because everything else he does well. He can pressure the ball. He certainly can pass it. He can get his team running, but the outside shot against zones might be a question.
Come on. What are they averaging? What are they averaging here with wins? They're winning by 40-some points, and we got to worry about outside shooting.
I know. Just throw it up at the rim. Somebody will get the miss and put it in.
That is still coaching. I understand that. 6 points for Drexler. Matt wants to worry, even though he doesn't have a ball club to worry about. Let him worry.
I got that from an inside source that I cannot reveal at this time.
Coming about 10 seconds remaining in this first half. Jordan, Pippen, and Jordan with the open shot. Hill with the rebound as the buzzer sounds. And at the half of this 46th NBA All-Star game, it is the East by 3. Shawn Kemp with 10 points to lead the West. Michael Jordan with 10 for the East.